Good afternoon. I'm Ed Pozzuoli, president of Tripp Scott, and welcome to another edition of the Tripp Scott webcast series. Today we have Bob Swindell. Bob is the president and CEO of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. Bob, welcome.
Thank you, Ed.
For our viewers' sake, describe what the purpose of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance is.
So we're the Broward County's economic development organization, and for a lot of your viewers, I think for everyone watching this webcast, there's probably an equal number of definitions of economic development. So to explain what we do, we really have four core competencies as an organization. We market and promote Broward County as a business destination. We manage projects for companies that are considering an expansion in Broward County. And then we also work on relocating companies, maybe a new facility for them, like a new Latin American headquarters. So it's not necessarily just moving employees from one city or state to another, but really creating new facilities, new genuine job growth.
Right.
And then the fourth thing that we do is we call it our public-private partnership. And that is the working relationship we have with not only Broward County government, but our municipalities, organizations like Workforce One, Nova Southeastern University, Broward College, Florida Atlantic University. You can imagine that things like schools, education for children.
They matter.
Yeah. It's a huge driver for a decision whether to stay here or to bring a new facility into Broward.
You took over as president and CEO of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance about 4 years ago, November 2009. And if I recall, November 2009, Broward's economy was not in the greatest of shape.
True.
I mean, unemployment was over 11%. Economic development, development-wise, construction development-wise, was basically non-existent. Real estate market was in turmoil. So tell me, how do we get from November 2009 to today?
It's a great question, and it really talks about a lot about how the Alliance looked internally, and realized that we were in a very challenging economic climate. Companies were not looking to relocate. They were looking to, how do we survive where we're at now? We're going to be shedding jobs, not adding jobs. A lot of uncertainty about where the economy was going to go. And so as an organization, we had to retool ourselves and say, how do we do our job more effectively? One of the things that we did immediately was created, we call our CEO Council. And Ray Ferraro, who is a well-known icon in this community, agreed to take the helm and lead that effort, where he brought the top executives from Broward County together and said, listen, we really need to, if we're going to do this, or if we're going to do economic development and do it right, we need to really raise the ante. And he brought a team of 20 executives, people like Mike Jackson, Terry Stiles, Keith Koenig, Colin Brown. I don't want to leave any of them out because they were all vital in those early days. But the concept was, let's make a commitment to put $50,000 each for 3 years into economic development and really take this to the next level. So that started the process for us. And we really had to do a competitive assessment of, where does Broward County sit? Our name used to be Broward Alliance. Part of that transition over the last 5 years has been changing the name. We sort of talked to site location advisors and opinion leaders around the country and said, well, what's your perception of Broward County? We want to sort of see where we're at, so we have a baseline. And the question usually came back, well, where is that?
Where is it?
Is that where the rockets go off?
Right.
No, that's a little bit to the north. So changing the name to Greater Fort Lauderdale and really building on what the Convention and Visitors Bureau has been doing and branding Broward as Greater Fort Lauderdale since their inception. It was a little controversial with some of our municipalities, but we brought them the data and said, listen, this is where our brand is, and we could spend millions of dollars with the Broward name and not have the brand equity that we have in Fort Lauderdale. But really rebuilt our team as well.
Okay. And so with all of that kind of reorganization, recommitment, dragging and pushing key members of the community to support the effort, how do you view the state of business in Broward County today?
The results have been pretty phenomenal. If your viewers have not seen it, we produced a commercial with several of these same executives I just mentioned. It ends with a great punchline with Wayne Huizenga, but it's lesstaxing.com. We'll take you right to the commercial. And we launched that commercial and ran it in the Metro New York market, Boston, and Chicago in the winter months for the last 2 years. That was part of what really started changing the awareness of Broward County as a destination. We saw our pipeline for projects grow dramatically.
Projects meaning?
So companies that are looking to expand or relocate, as confidence started building back into the economy, there was a lot of pent-up demand for, well, we've been thinking about a new location, a new Latin American headquarters. we think now is the time to pull the trigger. And we really started seeing that happen in late 2012, where activity really picked up. We actually went back and surveyed those same opinion leaders 3 years later to see where our baseline and where we were at afterwards. And the results and the perception of Broward County had changed dramatically in that 3-year period of time.
What is the perception today?
So the perception today is, when we ask people, would you recommend a project to Broward County? There wasn't a lot of negative, but it mostly was neutral. They were like, I might recommend a project to Broward County, but I really don't know much about it. What's the business case for Broward County? Why would we be there?
And now?
So now the business case is much better identified. We've been advertising in like Inc. magazine, the Inc. 500. We feature Wayne Huizenga, one of the best-known entrepreneurs in the world, talking about why he's built, 3 Fortune 500 companies in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale.
A great face for the community, isn't he?
It really is. Yeah. And his generosity and his willingness to lend not only his intellect, but his financial support has been really an important part of our success. But the visibility is much greater for Fort Lauderdale as a community now.
And so what types of industries have you've seen drawn to our community or have expanded in our community in the last year or so?
So that's the real exciting part of what we're doing. I mean, our passion at the Alliance and what gets the team really enthusiastic is high-skill, high-wage jobs for Broward County residents, diversifying our economy. We've got some great, bellwether segments of our economy like tourism, construction. Construction is coming back. It's great to see cranes on the horizon again.
Right.
But we're bringing in new companies like high-tech manufacturing, so generic pharmaceutical manufacturers, medical device manufacturers, high technology companies like Citrix. I mean, people don't realize that Citrix started as 3 employees in Coral Springs in 1989.
Right.
Today they have over 6,000 employees globally. Those are the type of industries that we're bringing in. High-skill, high-wage jobs. One of the recent projects we did this year was Emerson. They St. Louis-based company, $26 billion a year in revenue. They never really had a combined Latin American headquarters. And they decided that there would be a lot of synergies if they brought their divisions together. And they they located out in Sunrise. We had Governor Scott down to sort of do the ribbon cutting for their new facility. But that's the type of facility that's a new entity for them, new Latin American headquarters, and their growth projections have just exceeded what they expected.
And for new businesses looking at Broward or the Greater Fort Lauderdale area, are there regional incentives available?
There are incentives. Interestingly enough, the incentives are probably involved with about 25% of our projects. More often than not, there's other things that we can do, workforce training, workforce recruitment, connecting them with other businesses in the community, making sure that that they can meet other leaders in their industry. So while the incentives are an important part of it and do influence decisions, and that's what they're really there for, we tend to be very conservative with those, and those are tax dollars, and we treat that responsibility pretty strongly. We talk about our territorial assets.
It's a great,
beautiful place.
Right, it's just a great place.
But we're the epicenter for Central and South America, the Americas. Really, if you look at Hong Kong and the way it developed, we have a similar opportunity for the Americas. We are that central point. There's a lot of confidence in our economy in the United States. So countries from Central and South America and the Caribbean have a natural fit here. The diversity of our workforce here, people feel welcome immediately. Those are real strengths that, in addition to our beautiful place to live, is one of the things that draws companies to South Florida.
So with that, let me close on reminding our viewers lesstaxing.com, yes. Right? lesstaxing.com. Congratulations, by the way. The Alliance was named one of the top economic development organizations in the country since you took over. Yeah. And so with that, Bob Swindell, thank you very much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, Ed. Enjoyed it.